All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Pando Days 24-25 Spring Term Project premieres. My name is Matthew Manos. I'm the head of a design firm called Very Nice here in Los Angeles and faculty at USC, longtime Pando maniac, and your host for today. This is the program that turns academic work into real-world solutions for impact in your community and world. All Pando Days premiere events follow a standard format. Each team is given 15 to 20 minutes to present summaries of their projects, and then that will be followed by about a half hour of Q&A from our panel of experts. These events are recorded, and then over the summer, the recordings, along with all of the project materials, will be posted on each team's dedicated webpage, which you can find at pandopopulous.com. The projects are then judged by a distinguished panel of specialists, with honors and prizes passed out and networking opportunities galore happening at the Pando Sustainability Awards. Stay tuned for details. Today, we're very excited to be hearing from Cal State University, Los Angeles. The project is led by Professor Mine Uchak Hughes and is titled Cal State LA Hydrogen Station Marketing Campaign. The project is an initiative to rebrand and revitalize Cal State LA's hydrogen fueling station through strategic marketing and outreach. Can't wait to hear more, Mine. I will pass it over to you and to your partner, David, as well.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen for my presentation. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here at Pando Days for the second time. My first time was a wonderful experience. I very much enjoyed it, learned a lot. And again, I'm very happy to be back with a completely different project. This time, as you just mentioned, Matthew, it's about our hydrogen station at Cal State LA. Let me start with a quick overview of the project. It's the Cal State LA Hydrogen Station marketing campaign. And it's a student-led initiative to rebrand and revitalize the Cal State LA's hydrogen research and fueling facility through strategic marketing and outreach. And the county goal that it addresses is Goal 7, a fossil fuel-free LA county. The project objectives were to redesign branding and marketing materials for Cal State LA's hydrogen station and develop strategic outreach for external and internal audiences. The team was composed of myself. I'm Mine Uchok. Again, I'm an associate professor of marketing at Cal State LA, and my sustainability marketing class students. The project came out of a marketing class. It was an elective, sustainability marketing, and we had about 30 students who worked in teams. The community partner is Dr. David Blackman, and professor at Cal State LA's College of Engineering, Computer Science and Technology. So just a quick background about the hydrogen station. The full name is Cal State LA Hydrogen Research and Fueling Facility. We call it Hydrogen Station for short. And it was established in 2011 as a hydrogen producer and distributor. It produces hydrogen on site through electrolysis, and it's the first dispensary approval in the world, and it's the first commercial hydrogen sale by the kilogram in the world. It also acts as an educational hub. It's like a living lab where there's a lot of sharing curriculum with community colleges and industry partners. There's a lot of training that happens and internships that take place. It's strategically located in the heart of LA, close to the Los Angeles airport and to ports, and of course, in the intersection of many different freeways. However, it's been a while since it's established. Technology changes fast, and the station needs update. And to support the long-term operations and innovation, And there's a lack of awareness of hydrogen technology at Cal State LA's hydrogen station. So our community partner has secured over $9 million in grants and award money from the Department of Transportation and South Coast Air Quality Management District. The grant has three objectives. One is to transform in the hydrogen station into a cutting-edge, high-capacity and efficient hydrogen fueling and innovation station with on-site renewable generation from electrolysis. To redesign of the station, showcasing its commitment to safety and research. And finally, to reinforce Cal State LA as a premier hydrogen talent training center through the Hydrogen Stations Internship Program. This is my team. These are my students. This is from our trip to the hydrogen station. We had a tour of the facility. It was a bit of a rainy day that day. And when we had a bit of a sun, we had this photo taken. The project focus was, its main goals were redesigning the branding and marketing materials for the station and developing strategic outreach for external and internal audiences. The station needs were fresh ideas for campaigns and community engagement and improved internal promotion across the university. Cal State LA has recently as a new president. She started last year, and the entire president's suite is relatively new, and they're still in the process of learning about Cal State LA. So one of the aims of the project was to kind of introduce the station to our new president and to the new administrators on campus. The project objectives were to explore the hydrogen industry trends and barriers, craft a positive, compelling narrative around hydrogen fuel, and propose branding and outreach strategies tailored to diverse audiences. As I just mentioned, there's an internal and an external audience. I think what is unique about this project is that typically the projects are either working with partners on campus, or they're working with community partners off campus. In this project, we're combining both. There are two diverse audiences with different needs. And of course, strengthen the leadership support within the university. The project had 4 steps. Research and industry insights. The students, just like myself, we were not well-versed or very knowledgeable about the hydrogen technology. And we didn't know that they're actually hydrogen fuel run cars. And actually, ever since I started this project, I started noticing more of these cars on the LA roads. And we're much more well versed with electric cars, but there also are hydrogen fuel cars. The step 2 was strategy development and brand refresh planning. Step 3, campaign design and creative development. And step 4 was the presentations. In the interest of time for our presentation today, I'm going to focus only on step 3, campaign design and creative development. So the challenges addressed were the public skepticism about hydrogen safety and viability, and there's frankly limited public and student awareness of the station's presence and significance. Currently, it is out of commission, so there is a bit of that from the external stakeholders, but also on campus, a lot of the students didn't even know that we have a hydrogen station that exists, even though many of us drive by it every day. So there was a lack of stakeholder buy-in from within the university as well, and also difficulty communicating the station's value to non-technical audiences. So as I mentioned previously, there were 2 target audiences, external and internal. And the campaign elements included slogans, taglines, and several social media platform designs, including also internal messaging for the Cal State LA administrators. These are some of the slogans the students came up with, and the focus of the slogans were about how actually quick and easy it is to fill your car or fill your vehicle with hydrogen. Again, this is something we didn't know about, and as opposed to electric cars that used to take half an hour or more, I think that with the technology they're getting quicker, but hydrogen fuel takes minutes. You can, it's very competitive, just like when you're filling your car with, a gas station. So the slogans that the students came up with were fill in minutes, go for miles, clean energy, quick exit. It also is zero emissions fuel. The only thing that is coming out of your car is water. So that's also very environmentally friendly. Greener future starts within our reach. Change the future with hydrogen. Powering progress without pollution. So as you can see, the focus were a lot to do with the zero emissions, cleaner environment, and also how quick it is to fill your car. The website design they came up with, we currently have a website for the hydrogen station, but the students redesigned it and they wanted to make it a little bit more dynamic. And they wanted to include more real stories, testimonials, interactive tools, some project updates and success milestones, and also kind of like spotlighting the innovations that is coming out of the hydrogen station. So a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more easy to digest information and explanations about the hydrogen technology, and also some data-backed insights and case studies. Then they worked on a LinkedIn page. Currently, the hydrogen station does not have a LinkedIn page. Our community partner, Dr. Blackman, is doing a fantastic job posting on his personal LinkedIn page, but the students thought that it is necessary for the station to have its own LinkedIn page. Where they showcase the campus innovation and leadership in clean energy. And they also came up with this really great idea, I thought, which is the hydrogen heroes to humanize the initiative and build professional credibility. Sharing milestones, media coverage. So just like what the LinkedIn is designed for, the platform, the focus is going to be more on education and professional development and sustainable energy. And it's also going to be highlighting the students' achievements and also the technological advancement for hydrogen. And finally, so it's more like it connects the different professional fields while showcasing that this hydrogen station is not just for commercial use. It's not just for, vehicles to come and fuel get fuel. It's also a learning facility. It's also an educational facility where people get to learn about the latest hydrogen technology. Then moving on to Instagram as another platform, social media platform. The students thought that they can have short videos, Instagram Reels. I won't share, this is just a screenshot from one of those. The idea was that you can rent maybe a car, a hydrogen fueled car on campus or a golf cart, and you go around the campus, recording yourself and posting that on Instagram. So kind of more like user-generated educational content, showcasing real drivers, fueling efficiency, and hydrogen benefits. As you know, the Instagram is a very different platform. It's fast-paced, it's quick, it's like snippets of information. So the focus of it is going to be very different from LinkedIn and the web page. This is going to be a little bit more engaging and interactive. And finally, the public relations and outreach. This is more at the local and national media level, community events, industry conferences, and partnership announcements. To be fair, these are already happening. We do have community events, and Dr. Blackman goes to conferences and he posts about them. However, this is going to be a little bit more at the targeting the internal audience, the university as well, like public demonstrations, partnerships with government agencies, and event posters and partnership announcements. So this is one of the posters that the students have created for possible event that could take place at the station. And they are going to be focused more about consumer education and engagement with the hydrogen and sustainability. And the internal messaging, as I mentioned previously, more geared towards the Cal State LA administrators, is going to be through internal channels like periodic e-newsletters, campus-wide briefings, targeted presentations to internal audiences, maybe to our associated students and the sustainability committee and other academic departments. So what's next? The next steps. To share these student proposals with Cal State LA's marketing and sustainability offices for potential adoption. And the students have actually presented their presentations, their project proposals to the director of marketing at Cal State LA. So we've established that one already. And the next thing would be to pilot select campaign ideas on campus and track engagement metrics through social media typically. Develop partnerships with local schools or environmental organizations for community outreach, emphasizing on the educational aspect of the station. And then finally, incorporate the student-developed materials into orientation or sustainability programming. Thank you very much for your time. This is all I have for my portion of the presentation.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation, really big in scale. There's so much to dig into here. I really love the challenge of how to increase public knowledge and appeal through a marketing, branding, and outreach campaign, and all of the ways that you thought about how this actually gets out there across many different platforms as well. So super impressive. Let's hear from our panel. We've got about a half hour, and this is an informal back and forth about the project. How might we assess it? Where do you think this could go to greater impact the community, et cetera? And we have two respondents. We've got Rick Serini and John Bielenberg. Rick is the founder and director of the Brand Architect Group, with a long career working on projects as diverse as the preservation of Seattle's Pike Place Public Market to acting as art director at Rolling Stone magazine. Rick now has turned his attention to helping companies develop earth-friendly practices. And then we've got John, who is Pando's founding creative director and has long sat on the board. He's a legend in the Design for Good movement and once wrote a book hoping to shake up the status quo called Think Wrong. So thanks for joining us, guys. John, why don't we have you go first? And again, this can be pretty free-flowing discussion, but any observations or questions?
Yeah, I think it was well thought out. I think you've, done a lot of research. The thing I'm missing is sort of the make me care. Like the way our brains work is we constantly filter out things that aren't interesting or funny or unexpected. And it just kind of goes in and out. And the way I describe it is if Matthew and I are walking down the street and we're having a conversation, there's stuff going on there are billboards and cars and conversations. Somebody walks by with a little dog that has a hat on it. I'd go, "Hey, Matthew, check out the dog with a hat," because it's unexpected, funny, interesting, right? So it cuts through all that others stuff that our brain is just kind of filtering out. So that's the thing I would be looking for if this was a project I was doing. It's like, what's that big idea that grabs somebody and kind of makes them care about this? I think the hydrogen, I'm somewhat familiar with that technology. And it's really amazing. It's somewhat energy dependent to produce it, but other than that, it's just vapor. There's no negative byproduct to that. I like the hero the hydrogen hero idea. I maybe think about how to push that out a little bit more. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. What's that big idea that makes people pay attention?
Thank you. Amazing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No, I 100% agree with you. That's definitely to cut through also the cacophony of noise right now we're bombarded with. Yeah.
Yeah, that Hydro Hero, it's got an opportunity to be that dog with the hat on, right? I think that's a really good point. It could become more of a character of some sort, for
Right.
example. I
Yeah.
think that's really good feedback. Rick, let's get you in here. What are you
Sure.
thinking?
Well, peeling off his theme, the idea of doing something that catches your interest. Let me give you a little background on this. Normally, when I approach these kinds of problems, we start out with a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, etc. And hydrogen has some serious headwinds. I don't know if you've seen the news this morning, but in the Republican bill that's going forward, they're going to cut all funding to hydrogen in the future if it goes through. And it's been a struggle for the last 10, 20 years. I wrote a book about sustainable pioneering industries back in 2004, and Ben and Jerry's was in there, and a bunch of subjects, but one in particular was Elon Musk. So he agreed to be interviewed by us. We went up there. He gave me a ride, and it was then the little sports car, and even back then, the idea of electric cars becoming something important was challenging. But what happened was that Elon started producing cars that had kind of a chic appeal and kind of a unique look on the road. And people, influencers, wealthy people, celebrities started buying those cars. And then, the rest is history. I think that's really what launched the EV market. So to what he was saying before, it's a little bit like the dog with the hat. It suddenly made the alternative to gas-powered cars kind of interesting. Plus, coupled with many other things like the availability of charging stations, to be able to charge at your own house in the evening when you got home, and gradually over time extending the range, getting the price of those EV cars down from what were they originally 120,000. So all of those things combined together to make that particular type of vehicle attractive. So to circle back to the hydrogen thing, what to use an old branding phrase, what is the driver of preference? What is the thing that would cause somebody to buy a hydrogen powered car and use the hydrogen stations as opposed to the other alternatives that they have? I'm not sure that anything that I saw really hit that right on the mark.
Yeah, I think, should we have David, the expert, talk about this a bit?
That would be great. Yeah, David, take it away.
Thank you very much for this, for the presentation and for the feedback. First of all, I'd like to highlight the wonderful work Dr. Uchuk Hughes completed in this project, because the only thing she asked me was, can we come for a tour? Right? And I replied, of course you can come, but I would like to get something out of your class if possible. And so we came up with the idea, and one of the major challenges for me was dealing with the new administration, because budget cuts, everything is happening at the university, things are negative. And so here I come and say, well, we got to do something and move forward with the grants. And so now it's behind, and you know what's happening with the administration. So I don't know if I'm going to see my money. But one of the challenges was actually, pushing administration and getting on their radar. And that's how this project. But what happened next? what happened next? Now we have 30 students who are marketing majors learning about hydrogen. So there is a value where, okay, maybe it's not the best campaign or it's pretty good, but these students are now learning about hydrogen. They're learning about messaging, and they're learning about how to do, marketing properly. The other thing I was impressed as the project progressed, there were 6 presentations from the team. So each, you can't say everyone was perfect. I really highly scored. A couple of them were very well developed and cognizant that what I was asking. And the other ones were learning. But the most important part was educating so many students about what is important for us. And for this presentation, I'm also learning more about how to market the station better. Externally, it's a little bit less of a problem right now, more of that within the university system, where you have almost 1,000 faculty, all new top administrators, all new, from research, business, communication. So basically getting to on their radar is a challenge, and that's where I'm going with this, and learning how to improve that part of marketing for me. Yeah. So and thank you. I think the heroes is a good idea. We'll do more of exploring this. I also would like to invite you and your colleagues. Maybe we can organize event where you come to campus and tour hydrogen station. We do tours. I designed the station specifically to take on public tours. So we have like a gallery, viewing gallery, where you can come inside and see all the machinery and equipment involved. So absolutely welcome to organize event at Cal State LA, and we would be happy to have you over.
Awesome, David. Let's throw it to Eugene.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew, and thank you all. It's very interesting to hear interesting presentation, interesting comments. Just to explore a little bit more on this, kind of make me care. I wonder if the key place to focus there, the thing that that's the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit, but also really important, is to double down on what this means for Cal State LA, because I mean, it owns this, right, David? And you have, at least in 2 areas I heard, you're totally unique as far as kind of what this is. And I think, I mean, it's, on the one hand, it's an enormous, I mean, talk about hydrogen fuel. I mean, it's just huge, as far as this potential. But then where can you narrow a focus to then make people really, really care? And it seems that may be the potential, and the easiest thing to do to exploit the potential is to focus on what it means for Cal State LA and how can they really exploit the hell out of this, really.
Kind of like the branding for the university, if I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I love what Rick mentioned about the history of the progression of the electric cars, because that was one of the things I mentioned during the class when we were discussing this. The project was new to all of us. I think the project was also, from the in-class perspective, was exciting, because the students, they took this as an elective. A lot of them were interested in sustainability, but some of them just came in because they had to fill in an elective. They thought we were going to be talking about recycling and hugging trees and carbon, we didn't. They were very much surprised that I kind of wanted to tell them recycling is passé. We don't talk about recycling much anymore. There's just so much more to sustainability. So this was very exciting to them to see that something in their own backyard that they can actually do, work with a real client, how that works. We certainly did the SWOT analysis and all that. And as I said, I didn't focus on that aspect of the project in this presentation. But one of the things I mentioned is that at some point, and I mean, they're in their 20s, so they may not even remember that. The electric cars, it was not a thing. It was just like something of the future. And so maybe this might be the same. I mean, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the reason that you just explained. We're talking about electric cars, we're seeing them, and that's how it became. So there's no reason why hydrogen cars may not be the thing of the future. It may or may not be. Maybe we need the hydrogen hero of Elon Musk, a hydrogen version.
Yeah. Well, let me chime in here and add a little more substance to it. So Tesla was started by two other guys. Elon came in as an investor, and of course he came from PayPal and the so-called PayPal mafia, Peter Thiel and whatnot. But the big difference was that Elon already had substantial inroads into the celebrity world in Los Angeles. So what I always advise people who are starting to launch a new product or rebrand is that the thing you start with is the customer, the end user. You have to start with that. And if necessary, you start with a little teeny tiny group. Maybe it's one person, 10 people, 100 people. And that's the center of the bullseye. And then you build out from that. To Elon's credit, he told us in the interview that he was going to go after celebrities so that when they would show up at the Oscars or the Emmys and pull up, they would be in a Tesla, in an EV car, and they could show off their environmental credentials. That's a little bit more difficult with a hydrogen car. I mean, in all the research I've been involved with and talking with people involved with hydrogen, it's really more suited to trucks and commercial vehicles as opposed to passenger cars. So again, what I would, challenge, the people who are putting these programs together is, who is that target audience? What's that center of the target that you could then build on and progressively get more and more and more end users involved in it? And I'm not sure that it's passenger cars, but.
And also the scale of this project is, again, as David mentioned, it was more geared towards our clients' concern was more about our internal audience. And going back to what Eugene said, I think this could be more to do with branding of Cal State LA than revolutionizing the hydrogen fuel. I don't think Cal State LA can single-handedly do that, and it's definitely not their mission. But more to do with the university differentiator. We have something, and again, this can be attached to. At Cal State LA, we do state of the art. Our students come in here. It may not be a UC, but we're at a CSU. We are doing, high tech. There's internships. Our students come here and learn about exciting technology, and it's also cross-disciplinary. That the marketing students are working with the engineering students and so on. I think it's more to do with the focus of the project, and the future of it is more to the education side than revolutionizing the hydrogen, market.
Oh, got it. So it's more like it's a quiver in the set of tools used for sustainability, which could include sustainable architecture, native plants, water conservation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've heard a lot of good discussion points. I think you were going to mention AC Propulsion, Tom Gage group that were approached by Elon Musk. Yeah, and I think they had me at hello with the Roadster even before Tesla vehicles came out. The Roadster was beautiful. Lotus, yeah. So I was lucky. I was recruited in 2007, so that's kind of all of these things were developing and happening here in California. Very exciting. But we built the hydrogen station, and it was also very exciting. And at the time, we didn't know what the solution is going to be, whether the electric vehicles will take over or hydrogen vehicles will have their future. And it's always been like this, kind of like up and down for hydrogen and for electric vehicles. So right now it is a challenge for hydrogen. The way we are planning to redesign our hydrogen station is what we always serviced buses and trucks, but we're also going to have a focus on heavy duty transportation. I think that's where the market is going. Majority of drivers, and that's where your marketing specialist will, acknowledge that the consumers, the drivers, they don't need the distance all the time. They just need it occasionally. And so electrical vehicles, and especially with the recent developments, are fulfilling the daily driver needs sufficiently. And so the quick refueling and long distance that are afforded by hydrogen vehicles, a little bit less of a concern. But now the heavy duty transportation and the duty cycle, that's where hydrogen stations go. The goal of our hydrogen station is to do applied research in how things work and workforce training. And I'm very happy again that besides engineering students that we trained through here, we also had the opportunity to work with the School of Business and train 30 more students in marketing field, right? So that's the role of the hydrogen station on campus, and highlighting and coming up with the messaging both internally and externally is very important. And thank you for all your feedback.
So if I could ask what, I mean, this may be more for you, but also for David, kind of what are the next steps? I mean, where do you think this could go? Where could the research that you've done and the
Yeah.
ideas you proposed, how do they actually go ahead now and make a difference?
Yeah, let me go, if I may, quickly. So as one of the first thing you said in the next steps was to work with our marketing department at the Cal State LA, not our Department of Marketing at the Business of, College of Business, but at the Cal State LA's communications and Department of Marketing. How can we incorporate the station into Cal State LA's branding and marketing and promotion materials? So that would be, I think, the next step, working more closely with them. Again, to reiterate, everybody's new. They're new. We just also had a new logo change. So there's a lot happening at Cal State LA right now, and also with the budget cuts. And we're now forced to do more with less. So this is just one more item that will be on their list, which is not, to be fair, at the top of their list. But I've already had a follow-up meeting with them, with the director of marketing and communications. So we just started the talks. We'll see where it goes.
Well, I mean, one other thing I would add is in terms of this broader idea of sustainability and engineering, there's the aviation market for hydrogen, which is the Europeans and the Chinese are both heavily looking into this. I mean, fuel cell technology in aviation is definitely a possibility, especially when you consider the weight difference between aviation fuels and hydrogen.
Well, I would invite you to read my recent article in Forbes, which is dedicated to the first Robinson helicopter converted to run on hydrogen. And you will be surprised that the company that did the conversion is Unither Therapeutics, which is organ company. They develop longer preservation process, and they have to transport organs from, and they're developing artificial organs in pigs. So their customers care for clean air and clean environment, and therefore they're dedicating significant budget to developing this hydrogen helicopter and hydrogen aviation. And of course, there is a whole bunch of different companies. We just, myself and my students, in early April, we attended hydrogen aerospace symposium here in Long Beach, H2 Aero. So yeah, absolutely, hydrogen has a lot of opportunities moving forward in the sectors we were. And I tell you, like light duty vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, water response to CARB, demands for cleaner transportation with passenger vehicles. So other aspects are developing as we are realizing the total transition to new economy, new energy economy, out of fossil fuels into renewable sources. And then battery technologies and hydrogen technologies will have their share moving forward. That's kind of there is a larger picture of transitioning to a new energy ecosystem. The other marketing aspect is Cal State LA is a second-tier university even in California system. So we have UCs, we have private universities which are still much better than Caltech and Stanford, right? And then UC system. And so we are coming from a CSU system, which is like a second, third tier, and for a university being able to compete with the larger universities and having this type of infrastructure and some other competitions we are also running out of engineering are a national level. So I'm very proud of what we accomplished, and I think that's the other part of the messaging I have to deal with the administration, and the lack of this quality communication, because we had these transition teams. Now the president, the provost, and the chief financial officer, all this transitioning and the research deans, all of this jeopardize the $7 million grant, which is federal grant. And if you're asking me what I have to do next, I have to crawl it out of Department of Transportation, if it's still possible. That's and I told myself maybe 6 months ago, if I never get this money, at least I will have the station as a functioning industrial museum of hydrogen technologies. That's what's happening. That's like a really just happening right now. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are the challenges. Industry is changing. We had big losses in Nikola trucks and Hyzon trucks that were supposed to be, but the market is not mature for them to sell trucks too. Yeah, so all of this happening, and you're absolutely right, not an easy process. But at the university system, we are somewhat shielded, and although I guess new administration has its hands in academia as well, but at least a certain freedom of research and projects is important for us. Yeah, thank you. I'll take all your feedback.
Yeah, this is a lot to dig into. Are there any? We have time for one more comment if there is one out there. Otherwise,
If
Well,
no one does,
I would
I'll
just
hop in. Rick, go ahead.
I'll just wrap up, or take off on what was just said. Is maybe the idea here is that since this idea of hydrogen has multiple uses, there are multiple channels, commercial vehicles, passenger cars, aviation, who knows, maybe it could be used in trains and mass transit. And if Cal State is developing this idea as a hub for sustainable industries, maybe the hydrogen is one part of that with these multiple applications. And the branding should be built more about that as opposed to talking specifically to a passenger car end user who is somehow a hero. Maybe there's a bigger idea here. The fact that the Department of Transportation, as far as I know, and I'm heavily involved in aviation, does not talk much about EVs for aviation and hydrogen for aviation, and there's clearly opportunities there. One of the big problems with electric flight is that the weight of the batteries. So hydrogen is a viable alternative there.
Yeah, they're planning on liquid hydrogen tanks, and
Yeah.
there is a lot of preparation work is being done in that area. So if you were to email me and get in touch, I would connect you with the right people. But it's a Vertical Flight Society. If you just find them, that's the group, both electric and hydrogen as well. So you will see a lot of interesting work being developed, both civilian and military application. Paseki helicopters are doing really interesting transport systems. But you're absolutely right. It's a marine applications. It's a light railroad.
Right.
And switch locomotives are very interesting application. And of course, logistics vehicles at the ports, at warehouses, and forklifts at warehouses offer really interesting advantages in their duty cycle over battery counterparts. Yeah, and I actually appreciate your comment. We've developed, and I had a lot of influence on the solar installation on campus. We have a 1 megawatt plant now. We also have one of the most robust EV charging infrastructures among 23 campuses, and CSU system also plays a role. And so all of this with the hydrogen station, I do market it as a precursor to the future economy. And they all come together really nicely. And again, it's a lack of messaging because of the new administration. They are not aware, and we don't have the culture, even though we have the pieces. And maybe it's going to be our next challenge for next year. We don't have that sustainability messaging. We did win one of the stars, sustainability stars, a couple of years ago, but the manager left. And guess where he left? He went to USC, Matthew.
Oh.
And so we lost that position, and so there is no one to market sustainability on campus.
I think that's where I see my job as an educator, is to educate the future generations. And that's what Pando's mission is too, is about sustainability and to support projects related to sustainability and predominantly turn LA. Because when people think about LA, they don't necessarily think about it as a sustainable city. They think the quite opposite, correct? About like this traffic heavy car dependent. So I see my job as an educator to, if I could open the minds of the future generations, like there are alternatives, there are different ways of consuming, being a consumer, but also a different way of being a citizen, because at the end of the day, these are also voters that are going to vote and hopefully make a change for the better.
I have one quick comment. I saw a presentation years ago by a guy named Paul Sappho, who ran the Institute for the Future, and he was talking about the adoption of new technology. And he said around the turn of the century, railroads controlled all intercontinental shipping and transportation. And they could see that planes were starting to fly, roads were being built, none of them diversified. And Paul said it was because these were old guys that smoked cigars and loved choo-choos, right? So their neural pathways were hardwired to love choo-choos. And then he said something about the adoption of new technology, that never mistake a clear vision for a short distance. You can climb up to the top of one mountain and see the other mountaintop, but to get there, you got to go all the way down and all the way back up. So none of this stuff is easy. It doesn't mean it's insurmountable. But I was thinking, Rick, years ago, there was a Rolling Stone campaign that was perception and reality. Do you remember that campaign they did where they showed, I
Vaguely.
can't remember if it was a perception of the Rolling Stone reader and then the reality of who actually reads Rolling Stone now. It was very clever. And I wondered if there's something there about the perception of hydrogen or perception of, Cal State LA, or something about, I can imagine a whole campaign about kind of pushing against the way things are and the way things might be and change people's thinking.
I think the idea of having a mission to train young people to be the players in a more sustainable future. I mean, it's not a new idea. We've been working on this for what, 2 decades now? But I still think that it's very viable. And then hydrogen, is a component of that, as is electric, as is, building technologies, mass timber construction. I mean, there's so many specialties that contribute to this. So, yeah.
All right, folks, I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you so much, Rick and John, for your comments and questions and insights as well. And thank you, Mine, and the Cal State University team that took this on. Really great project, important project, and curious to see how it creates maybe a ripple effect on campus as well. So very exciting to see the next steps. Our next premiere, if you're curious, it's going to be in less than a week. It takes place on Tuesday, May 27th at 1 p.m. And we'll be hearing from Cal State University Northridge. For now, thank you for joining us. And until then, Pando on, everybody.